Dallas, two teams traveling different paths through the NBA playoffs. The Spurs may be backing in, but the Mavericks are taking the front door, leading the Midwest Division and looking like a challenger to the LA Lakers' Western Conference supremacy. Tarpley has become a double threat in the middle with his scoring and rebounding, and the Mavericks have held together through injuries to Aguirre and Rolando Blackman. They are ready to play. The Spurs may be down, but they are never and will never be out. San Antonio at Dallas, next on KSAT 12.
This is San Antonio Spurs basketball. Brought to you tonight by Rogers Cable TV. Make Rogers your choice for exciting NBA basketball.
Live from Reunion Arena in Dallas, Texas, it's NBA basketball at its best. The San Antonio Spurs against the Dallas Mavericks. Here on KSAT 12 and presented by Rogers Cable. The Spurs with a record of 25-41, fifth place in the Midwest Division, take on the Mavericks tonight, leaders in the Midwest with a record of 45-21, and the defending Midwest Division champions. Last night in the arena, it was a barn burner. The San Antonio Spurs winning one of the best games in recent memory by getting past Detroit 107-106 right down to the final seconds, and Sam Smith has the call.
Inbounding, John Sunbull, Brickowski, Dawkins and Robertson are in there. Cross court, Brickowski. He goes at the top of the key to Sunbull. He gets it inside and Neely hooks it up. He got it! Neely gets it! The ball is over! Neely hooks it in, the clock runs out, and the Spurs upset the Detroit Pistons 107 to 106 as Neely hooks it in for the win.
And certainly any win is a good win for the San Antonio Spurs, but last night's was particularly sweet. Hello, everybody, and welcome live to Reunion Arena. My name is John Rook, and it is once again my pleasure to be working alongside the voice of the Spurs, Sam Smith. Sam, what a great game at home last night in the arena, beating one of the best teams of the NBA, and particularly the Eastern Conference and the Detroit Pistons. Now the question is, how do the Spurs take a hold of that, hold on to their momentum, and parlay it into a victory here in Reunion Arena, something they have not done in the last 4 years. Only 1 out of 13 games that the Spurs have won here in Reunion.
John, I think one of the things is what you pointed out. They have to carry over the momentum. Now, you're playing, again, another division champion. They look like they're going to win at the Dallas Mavericks. They're the same type basketball club because they're very deep. So you have to come in with the same competitive spirit. You have to come in and hope that you stay close. And again, as I said on the broadcast last night, be close enough to try to steal one. By the way, have regained my voice. It's great to be here back on Channel 12, and we hope to give you a good ball game in Dallas tonight.
Well, the Dallas Mavericks were playing last night as well, beating Portland here at home 106-101. It was a very important game for the Mavs as far as the Western Conference playoff standings are concerned. Let's take a look at those, and we'll show you exactly what we're talking about. The Mavericks now have won the season series with the Trailblazers 3-2. Right now they have a solid hold on the number 2 position in the Western Conference right behind the LA Lakers. But what that win over Portland last night, Sam, means most importantly is that if the two teams should finish tied after the end of the regular season, the Mavs have the playoff home advantage over the Portland Trailblazers.
And it's not unlikely that the way Dallas is playing and the way Portland is playing, that those could be 2 of the better ball clubs by game end on the end of the campaign, and they could very easily meet for the home court advantage, and Dallas took a giant step last night. Now, if Portland continues to play well, consider the way Portland is playing. If they were in any other division, they'd be very close to being the leaders, so they're playing well. This Maverick ball club is very deep. I like the way that they're doing it with Tarpley now, who normally comes off the bench, replacing Aguirre for 3 games. He replaced Sam Perkins tonight. He is what they call, hopefully, a 30-30 man here. They hope he can get 30 points and 30 rebounds, and it's not out of his reach. He's playing that well. And the way John McLeod now has them believing that they can win the 55, the 56, the 57 games, and can challenge the Los Angeles Lakers, this will be a tough game tonight for the Spurs.
Well, Alvin Robertson looks like he may have broken out of somewhat of a slump, only shooting 40% over his last 5 or 6 games. So last night, a triple-double, only the 3rd of his career. He became very nearly getting a quadruple-double. So we'll see if San Antonio and Alvin Robertson, the rest of the Spurs, can parlay that into a win here on Reunion Arena's floor tonight. We'll come right back after these messages with the starting lineups and the opening tip-off to tonight's ball game from Reunion Arena in Dallas, Texas.
The Dallas Mavericks hosting the San Antonio Spurs. They are anticipating their 16th straight sellout here at Reunion, averaging 16,974, just 10 shy of what they averaged last year. That equates just roughly over 99% capacity. You talk about building a franchise from the ground floor up, and it's interesting enough, John, that Stu Inman of the Miami Heat, who, by the way, will be visiting with Greg Lucas on KTSA Radio at halftime tonight, will be here to kind of oversee what is being done in Dallas, because they would love to kind of carbon copy, take it right to Miami, and if they do that, you've got to have a good basis to build a franchise. They've done a great job here.
Having been a long-time resident of the Metroplex area and knowing where basketball started, of course, when the Spurs were born into the Dallas Chaparrals, and seeing where basketball has come from that point in time when they didn't make it in Dallas, the Mavericks franchise has been nothing short of the All-American success story.
Well, the starting lineup tonight for the San Antonio Spurs, trying to throw a little cold water on that Dallas mystique, however, will be Greg Anderson, of course, the rookie out of Houston, averaging 11. Other side, Frank Brickowski, making his second start after missing 7 games. Good solid 15-point performance last night, and they'll be wrapping around the starting center tonight again. Kurt Nymphius will be starting his 7th game in a row with the injuries plaguing the Spurs. By the way, Walter Berry will be in uniform tonight, but how much he'll play, only time will tell with a bad knee. Johnny Dawkins along with Alvin Robertson are the two guards. Robertson, the top scorer, averaging 19 for Bob Weiss. In his second year, Lee Rose, the assistant coach, along with John Anderson, the trainers, will be manning the San Antonio Spurs bench. One of the main men of the Dallas Mavericks, he missed 3 games. He got back in the lineup last night, Mark Aguirre. Aguirre is their top scorer, averaging 26. He's one of the top 5 scorers in the NBA, and he is tough outside, inside, puts the ball on the floor, and Kurt Nymphius will be out on him tonight. That'll be a tough chore for him. Speaking of tough chores, how about keeping a hold of Roy Tarpley, along with James Donaldson? That rounds out the front line with 2 7-footers. Donaldson, of course, at 7'2", Tarpley at 7 feet. And their guards will be Derek Harper, truly one of the outstanding point guards in this league, averaging 17. And Rolando Blackman, only 6 points last night, matching a season low. He had 6 earlier against the Denver Nuggets, and that kind of scares me when you come in against Rolando Blackman, because John McLeod, I know, is not trying to hype him up, but Rolando Blackman hypes himself pretty good and plays well against the Spurs.
Tonight's officials, Earl Strom on the left and Jim Capers on the right. You're speaking about Rolando Blackman. He, of course, has had a couple of injury problems himself this year, as both teams have. But the key thing about Dallas to remember is they've had the capable people coming off of the bench to replace them, namely Roy Tarpley, who has worked himself into the starting position now in place of Sam Perkins, who has bummed up his left knee earlier in the week against the New York Knicks.
Anderson, Brickowski, Nymphius on the front line. Of course, Dawkins, Robertson backcourt. They'll match up this way. Anderson on Tarpley. Ooh, is that going to be a tough one tonight? Donaldson against Brickowski. Nymphius on Aguirre. Now, Nymphius can guard you out on the floor. When Aguirre starts backing down and gets a little fadeaways, we'll see how well Nymphius reacts. Harper and Blackman, of course, you've got a couple of classic matchups there. Robertson has done fairly well with Blackman, but one of the things, John, they've done very well on him is once he gets a hold of the ball, they don't give him time to run off of any set plays. They double him the minute he gets a basketball or anywhere, because they just don't want him to make any moves in the open court.
One of the things that strike me as particularly unique about this Mavericks 5 that's out on the floor, Sam, and the first time in franchise history, the 5 Maverick players are averaging over 13 points per game. That means that those guys can put the points on the board. Now, the Spurs, of course, are third in the NBA in scoring at 114 points per game, but the Mavericks get maximum potential, and they get maximum points from their 5 guys out on the floor. And James Donaldson, for a guy who wasn't even playing basketball very much until he was like a freshman or a sophomore in college at Washington State under George Raveling, he's coming to a force of his own right in the middle, just playing a little bit of defense, getting the rebounds, getting 8-9 rebounds a game, but filling the middle, and that fills a big role in the Maverick offense and defensive scheme.
Early on, it was all San Antonio, but the Mavericks have turned it around. 41-25, the all-time series in favor of the Spurs. The Mavericks lead the season series 2-1. San Antonio won the opener 130-106, and then have lost back-to-back to Dallas, 116-109 and 128-111 as Dallas. As the ball is, we're underway here at Reunion as we get underway on KSAT Channel 12. Glad to be with you tonight. Sam Smith along with John Rook. Again, Nymphius against Aguirre, one of the key matchups, and this is where Aguirre is so tough, and now we've got a whistle and a travel call early on Aguirre trying to make too many moves, trying to get Nymphius committed there.
You had to feel like the Mavericks were going to go right to Mark Aguirre in that type of a situation, seeing what he could try to get on Kurt Nymphius early, so you have to look at that one real closely tonight, as you've already mentioned.
San Antonio is going to try to go right inside to Anderson if they can to work on Tarpley. Of course, Dawkins will take the shot as he does here, and Dawkins, again, only a 3-for-6 shooting night with 9 points. Really needs to get off in a hurry. Keep in mind, though, John Sunbo came into replacing 10-for-14 last night with matching a career high of 25 to help the Spurs with the victory.
Well, the Spurs could use a little bit of that off of the bench as well as getting a good game out of Dawkins tonight, no question.
Donaldson with a jump hook. Donaldson again with his first 2, and we're tied for the first time at a deuce here
at Reunion Arena. There are some empty seats, will not be sold out as Dawkins again breaking on Harper, and a nice pass by Brickowski. That's one of the things the Spurs sorely missed from Brickowski, other than his banging and 15 points, is he does have a great presence of the court in the passing game.
I think it looks like Johnny Dawkins is anxious to get up a good start, as you mentioned as well, Sam.
Tarpley. Oh, that's bad news when Tarpley starts hitting jump shots out that far.
In the last 5 games that Royce Tarpley has started, in place of an injured Maverick, he scored 25 points per game and averaged 17.5 rebounds.
I wish you hadn't brought that up. This week, not by Brickowski. Aguirre in the open floor. How he got that through to Harper, I'll never know, but he does. Blackman, good ball movement by Dallas.
Spurs are sagged back on that defense and let him shoot from the perimeter, and you saw what happened.
Harper puts down a three-pointer, and the Dallas Mavericks had their first lead at 3. 7-4 here as we're just underway with 10:15 to go in the first quarter. Good movement outside. There's a switch off as they had Harper down inside on Memphis, but the Spurs misfire. And here come the Dallas Mavericks. 2 minutes deep into the quarter. Up underneath, they get it to Donaldson, and Donaldson off to a 4-point start. Bob Weiss may be forced into, now Memphis was checking up on him, may be forced to coming with Goodmanson to try to battle and bang with Donaldson tonight, just body on body. And another turnover on San Antonio as they try to force it inside. And now Dallas helps out by throwing it away on the other end. It's 9-4, Dallas by 5. San Antonio's led by 2, and we've been tied a couple of times early.
Right now, as Dallas comes down the floor on offense, they're trying to work into a mismatch situation, check off the defensive lineups, as we said on the opening matchups there. They're trying to get the best advantage. A couple of times already they've gotten it with Donaldson matched up against someone much smaller than he.
Robertson trying to get off to a start with a jumper, won't go, and Donaldson feeds ahead to Blackman. Aguirre's got it in the open court. Drives down the lane, pats the shot blocked by Anderson, but a bump foul, and I believe Greg's going to get caught. No, they catch Nymphius first. First foul on Nymphius, first team foul on the Spurs, but Aguirre will go to the line where he'll shoot a couple of foul shots. The All-Star averaging 78% from the foul line, 48% from the floor.
Well, when he gets out on the open floor, he's dangerous from any place. And that time he just made it happen in the lane. Whether he didn't get the basket to fall or not, it makes no difference. At least he made something happen, and he's going to the line to shoot.
Aguirre, as I mentioned, missed 3 games because of a bruise on the left thigh. And, of course, played last night against Portland. Came up with 17 points and now is playing again tonight. Timeout by the Spurs. After the first foul shot is good by Aguirre. We're at Reunion Arena tonight. The San Antonio Spurs traveling on the road to play Dallas. The Mavericks have the lead 10-4. We'll be back in a moment. This is Spurs basketball. The announcers for tonight's broadcast are paid by the San Antonio Spurs and by Channel 12. Sam Smith along with John Rook as we are here at Reunion, and as we had expected from the Dallas Mavericks, they try to get you in the half-court game, but they will run, John, when it is there. And I think they've got such a nice blend under John McLeod. That was something they feared. McLeod would come in and try to change it so much.
Yeah, exactly. But what he has done is he has realized that he's had the talent that was already, the foundation that was laid here under Dick Motta, and he said, well, I'm not a big ego coach. I think I can work with what we have here. Let's just try to fine-tune a few things. And he's fine-tuned this team into on a pace where they actually could better last year's franchise record of 55 wins.
McLeod winning 624, now in his 15th year, 14 of those coming at Phoenix before being relieved of duty last year, and was signed, of course, before the start of the season by the Dallas Mavericks, who now lead by 7, as Aguirre knocks in both free throws. Brickowski trying to whirl inside. There is that left-hand move, and John, how many times have we talked about a broken right hand necessitated him trying to take more left-handed shots, and boys, that thing played dividends.
Well, it has certainly paid off for Frank Brickowski because he, as you mentioned, he didn't have much of a right hand. Now he's got a double weapon to work with, and I think we might see the Spurs try to push it more a little bit inside when they get the offense.
Roll Blackman, again held only 6 last night. He's already been over 10,000 points in his career coming earlier in the month, on the 23rd, actually last month, against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Ball poked out of bounds. Spurs will have 16 on the shot clock as again they're down by the score, up 13-6.
You mentioned earlier that Blackman only had 6 points last night in the win over Portland. It's not really great to see him get out there and start shooting from the floor as it was.
San Antonio with a dozen on the shot clock. There's Brickowski having the ball stripped clean, and that's Harper. Aguirre faking the pass out to the right side, throws it up, and he scores. This is a 47% shooting basketball club, but they're off to a very good start here in the first quarter, are the Mavericks. And they've got the lead 15-6 as San Antonio. Still trying to find just the right combination here to get something going. Walter Berry try to help that mix as he'll be coming in on the next dead ball. Brickowski muscling up inside, and I use that word advisedly because you've got to do that against Donaldson. He almost took his arm off.
Well, again, that was the case of the Spurs trying to push it inside and make something happen in the middle. Let Frank have a little free reign with the basketball, and it paid off that time down the floor.
Tarpley. Tarpley getting his fourth point of the ball game, and it's a 17-8, 9-point lead again by the Mavericks.
And the Spurs just aren't getting any movement at all on defense, and that's why the Mavs are setting those shots down.
Alvin and Robertson, who has been rather tentative with that jump shot outside, puts it down, and the Spurs reach double figures, down by a 17-10 score. Spurs here tonight. They'll be back home on Tuesday against still another outstanding ball club, the Portland Trail Blazers.
There's Blackman again, 2 for 2 from the floor already, so not exactly a great sign.
What I tell you on the opening of the show, I was kind of feared of that. San Antonio trails to the ball game now by 19-10. Dawkins down inside of Brickowski, and on his back, Donaldson's going to draw an early foul. That's his first team foul whistle here on the Mavericks in the first quarter. Walter Berry, he does come in now.
You know, he missed last night's game because he's got a left knee bruise, I guess it is, or right knee bruise as it is, and actually the Spurs could use a little help from him offensively tonight.
So Berry's in there, and Memphis sets down as Berry, picked up by Aguirre. There's Brickowski trying for a shot inside, and Tarpley, again, who has a season high of 24 rebounds early this year, and 38 points, gets it out ahead, and Aguirre in the open court gets his 6th point of the night.
Aguirre had 17 last night in his first game back after missing those 3 in a row with a left thigh bruise, and I tell you what, he's played himself right back into shape. He said after last night's game, he felt a little bit leg weary. Obviously, after the layoff would do something like that to you, but the way he's come out tonight, the way his team has come out tonight, they're hitting everything.
San Antonio taking only a 20-second break here with 6:57 left to play here in this quarter. Again, they've already used up an earlier timeout in the ball game, and now use up the 20 just to try to hold on to themselves here in this ball game. As the Mavericks, I mentioned they were shooting well. Kevin Smith, our statistician, has just informed me it's 9 for 9. That's pretty good.
That's pretty well. Well, but this is a team that Dallas has historically shot well over the last 2 or 3 seasons. This season, I noticed in the numbers, the Mavs have only shot 50% from the floor or better only 20 times this entire season out of 66 games. That tells you they must be doing something else to get things going. Rebounding, defense, whatever it may be.
Well, their defense is giving up only 104 points. 103.9 is Robertson's misfire. Comes in the hands of Aguirre. An 11-point Mavericks lead by the score of 21-10 now. 6:43 first quarter. Robertson checks off on Aguirre. Donaldson again picked up by Brickowski down inside, and now the Spurs are caught for an illegal zone. So the Spurs ran for a double team, but the ball came out of the hands of Aguirre too quickly, and they couldn't get back across the lane quickly enough. It's out of bounds on the first zone call against the Spurs. Mavericks have a first 24 as the shot clock was running down.
How do you defense 9 for 9 shooting, Sam?
Well, how about 10 for 10? Donaldson puts it in. That 10 for 10 also includes that 3-pointer by Derek Harper, you recall. 22. Like 23, excuse me, to 10, a 13-point bulge. San Antonio trying to find the right combination to get some offense, and Dawkins will try to get it, and he does. JD is the offense right now with 6 points.
Now, that's good to see Johnny back into the swing of things offensively, but he needs a little more help than what he's getting right now.
Tarpley again out of Michigan. And they finally miss a shot, and the rebound comes off to Anderson.
And it was a close one. That was nearly in there.
Well, that kind of juiced the crowd there, didn't it?
To say the least.
Good hustle by Mark Aguirre. Aguirre's been given a lot of bad reps. Bob Weiss and I have talked about him numerous times. Of course, he and Dick Motta did indeed have their bad times. But they said when it came time to really put up or shut up, Mark Aguirre was probably one of the finest you'll find in the league at doing just that. Berry tried to back in, and Aguirre standing his ground, and Berry draws an offensive foul.
Well, Walter may be pressing just a little bit, Sam, simply because he wants to try to make something happen badly out there. He needs to work himself back into the scheme of things, and he may be just pressing it a little bit right now. He needs to just relax out there in the 4B, his best thing.
San Antonio with 23 turnovers last night gets their third as Blackman gets his 4th basket of this quarter.
He needs to relax but not go to sleep. That's part of it.
13-point lead again is Dawkins. Trying to get it to Anderson, poked out of bounds by the Mavericks, so it'll be out to the Spurs on the inline. And inbounding the ball in the far corner, San Antonio's Walter Berry. Brickowski. Early on in the year, he would have pulled up and hit that shot. Now looking for someone to pass to, and Robertson's going to miss a slam dunk. Harper trying to catch it out at midcourt, just let it go on out of bounds. It's Dallas's ball. You won't see Alvin Robertson do that often.
Well, it's one of those things. I mean, when the team is shooting now, 11 out of 12 from the floor, or 12 out of 13, whatever it is, some incredible number. When it's going like that, it just goes like that. There's no explanation for it.
Good friend Doug Moe says when it's going good, it's going real good. When it's going bad, sometimes it goes real bad. Aguirre, it's going real good for Dallas right now. They've got 8 points on Aguirre and a 27-12 lead. Robertson. Dallas reacting very well defensively. They're doing a lot of not necessarily traps, but double teams. Brickowski's been one of the hard workers inside, and he'll get the benefits of a personal foul, and it's going to be called on Blackman, his first, second-team foul on Dallas. But Dallas is running for double teams very quickly against a lot of the Spurs here tonight.
Well, finally found the seam in the defense that time, and it took a little bit of work, you could tell. I mean, obviously, he missed the first shot, had to go back up for the tip, and he got a foul on it. So it took a little bit of work. Dallas is sagging back in there, playing real tight as far as the lane area is concerned.
Last night, Brickowski had to play 41 minutes. Nice way to be welcome back after missing 7 games. But play 41 minutes, his foul shot is good.
Of course, he had missed the previous 7 with the pinched nerve problem in the back of his neck, so San Antonio has missed him sorely in the middle. He's playing pretty well tonight so far.
Missed him sorely. That's a little pun, I'm sure. Second shot by Brickowski's up and good. San Antonio trails 27-14. 4:55 left to play. The Mavericks, I hope, cannot continue to shoot this well. As soon as they start cooling down, the Spurs will have a chance to get in. And there's a miss, and it comes off to Robertson, and this is what they needed. Barry in the open court, drives by Harper, and it slam dunks it. And that's exactly what the Spurs needed, running off a missed shot by the Mavericks.
Now it's time to get back, set up on defense, make sure you stay with your person, don't let anybody get open. Problem is, they just have been standing around a little bit too much on defense, and they really going, not coming out and forcing the play.
Walter Berry is again on Aguirre. As outside, they've got Harper guarded by Dawkins. Down inside along the lane, that's Tarpley. He'll miss, but Donaldson will muster it up, and he's also going to be fouled.
Well, that time they had the double team on defense. Tarpley missed the shot, but Donaldson was right there. Just got the bounce right to him. There wasn't any way you could defense that one. Donaldson had it perfectly. You're going to take a look at it one more time. See, the Spurs have the defense doubled down low on Tarpley. Turns around, missed the shot. The ball come right off to Donaldson, goes back up, and he gets the lucky break.
Ball catches the opposite side of the rim, and the Spurs have 2 players, and they're off the other way. But as the game goes, it nipped off the far side and gave Donaldson a chance. Misses the free throw. That's the first miss at the line by the Dallas Mavericks. And the count holds with that made 2-pointer by Donaldson at 29-16 Dallas. John Sunbull with 25 points last night against the Detroit Pistons comes into the ballgame and gets ready to do so as Barry ran into a crowd of his own players, and here's Aguirre back the other way with a slam dunk. And that's the way to get this crowd back into the ballgame, certainly for the Dallas Mavericks again at 31-16, and now the Spurs are going to use up another timeout in this quarter. So 2 full timeouts in the 20th had to be used by the Spurs. The Mavericks again upping their lead. They got it up to 15 points for the 3rd time in the quarter, 31-16. 3:55 to go in the first quarter. We're at Reunion tonight in Dallas. We'll be right back. Don't go away. We've got more of Spurs basketball. To offer from Rogers Cable TV, you can call 222-0500 before the end of tonight's game with the Mavericks and the Spurs and sign up for Rogers Cable System and pay only $1.99 for installation. No, it's not $99. It's not $29. It's $1.99. That's a savings of over $30 on installation, so call that number at 222-0500 before the end of the game tonight. Sam Smith and John Rook back here at Reunion. Again, we noticed a few empty seats along the way, and right now the ones that are in the seats have certainly cheered on, and look what Dallas is doing right now.
Well, how do you play? I mean, 7 out of 14 isn't terrible. That's 50%. You're in the ball game, or you're in most ball games, but you just don't beat 14 out of 17 from the floor. The Mavs are up by 15 points now.
Brickowski getting a lead pass from Goodmanson as they set that one up off the bench, and Brickowski runs to the hoop and lays it in. He's got 8 points here in the quarter. So a set play out of the huddle by Bob Weiss pays off for a basket here with 3:41 left to play in the first quarter, 31-18 Dallas.
Well, that's the kind of thing you hope to bank on, try to make a little bit of a run, but you got to stop guys like Mark Aguirre, and again, you just got to get in the faces of guys. When you shoot 15 out of 18 from the floor, it's tough.
Goodmanson trying to bank it in, and there's Tarpley. Missed the rebound here in Dallas. Rolando Blackman. Barry with a rebound. He's got Robertson streaking ahead. He's got Brickowski in the open court, and he takes it and jams it.
Now that's what they need. That time they pushed the ball right back up on the floor. One of the few defensive rebounds they've had in the ball game, as the stats would tell you. And they pushed it right back up on them. They're down by 13. They just hang in there right now. Dallas cool off a little bit, and this game will be a game, just that.
Harper bowling inside. Barry going up trying to get a block. Thought he had the ball on the way up. Jimmy Capers at midcourt said no, and Harper gets his 5th point of the night.
Well, that's a tough one to call. We'll take one more look at it. It looked like from our angle that it was on the way up, but I think it may have nicked the backboard, Sam, and that is a goaltending call.
Automatic trap on the backboard is indeed the goaltend here in the NBA, as Sunbull again checked into that last timeout. Brickowski, is he having a battle for his life inside, and Tarpley's going to get him from behind. That is not what the Spurs want to see. Brickowski getting banged around with that neck inside, and Tarpley does indeed draw the foul.
Here's a guy that definitely earns his dollar every day. James Donaldson out, Uwe Blab is in, and happy birthday to Uwe Blab. He's 26 years old today for the Mavericks.
26-year-old young man from the University of Indiana, or Indiana University, IU is what they like to call it up there. 2:40 to play in this first quarter. Again, Goodmanson Trying to force it down inside, and Tarpley is the last to touch it. We've kind of seen a little game plan starting to map out here with Brickowski scoring 10 points in the quarter. They're going to try to work on him as much as possible. Ball poked out of bounds by Aguirre, and the Spurs will have 9 on the shot clock now. 2:31 on the game clock, first quarter, 35-20, a 15-point lead by Dallas.
Sunbull working off the screen there, but can't get it to go.
Look at Brickowski working inside. He's already got a dozen points to help the Spurs.
Well, that's what they need right now. Frank can just hang in there, playing banged up or not. But Frank likes to play hurt. We'll hear more from him about that at halftime.
Feature John put together, and it has kind of been one of those years the Spurs have had to kind of cringe every time somebody gets banged around. And as Goodmanson and Berry both battle for it, it goes out of bounds. Berry holding his back, speaking of injuries.
And that's the first time tonight the Spurs have had more than one person around the ball. They have 2 people around it. It goes out of bounds on it.
Tarpley. Now this is a 7-footer, folks, shooting the ball out on the floor at a 49% clip. 37-22. Dallas with the lead again is Berry. Trying to make the move, takes too many steps, and the Spurs now their 5th turnover of the game. So Dallas with the ball back with 1:56 to go in the first quarter of the game tonight from Dallas. San Antonio, one of the keys to last night's ball game, they stayed close enough to challenge at the end and stole it from Detroit by 1.
Well, that would certainly be a big key here tonight. If we can get the Mavericks to cool off just a tad, it might be interesting.
Harper has already got 1 3, misses that one. They'll chase it in the corner, but it's out of bounds. The Spurs will own it. Coming back into the ball game for the Spurs will be Greg Anderson along with Mike Mitchell now. As coming out, Berry and Brickowski for San Antonio. Also, Brad Davis is going to be whistled in. And he'll replace Harper, who's out of there after missing his last 3-point try. Brad Harper's quite a story. Banged around on the CBA, Dallas, with Bob Weiss and Dick Motta. Said, hey, we need somebody to stabilize this ball club.
He's the last of the original Mavericks with his team signing as a free agent in December of that first season in 1980.
And he's playing now in his 11th year of NBA basketball. And they say on nights he's not playing any worse than he did before. Making a play, makes a steal here. Aguirre, the open court call for the charges. Greg Anderson, the rookie, paid the price but drew the foul on Aguirre, and they get a turnover. That's their 4th. And it nullifies a basket on the other end as Aguirre had that one dead to rights.
Great example of Greg Anderson right there taking the charge. Now maybe earlier in the year he might have been more willing to go toward and make the play here. He just sat right back, took the charge, and that's called learning about the NBA game. Not making a rookie mistake there.
Sometimes you can take that charge too deep underneath, and referees like Earl Strom will call that off, and I kind of like that because that's just trying to draw the charge, and it's going to end up getting somebody hurt if you take it too low. Ricky Wilson, number 15, is checked into the ball game for the Spurs as he'll play in there with Sunbull as they've changed the guard. Sunbull on the left side, and Sonny gets his first basket tonight. Again, 25 points, matching his career high last night for the Spurs in the win over Detroit. 54 seconds to go first quarter. 37-24 Mavericks. Tarpley gets his own missed shot. Little left-handed hook, and now a right-handed finger roll as Tarpley puts it up to the 6th point of the night.
I think the left-handed move is Tarpley's shot. The right hand a little bit more sure with that one.
Tarpley coming out of Michigan. Has the ball knocked away by Tarpley from Anderson. Aguirre block. Here he comes. Look out. Boy, that'll get this crowd into it.
A runaway red freight train on that one. 41-24.
27 seconds left to play. Biggest cheerleader here at the reunion is Don Carter, the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, setting at midcourt across the way. 41-24 Dallas. Goodmanson stepped right in and threw a block with an elbow right in the nose. Sunbull trying to get a shot away. Brad Davis strips it clean.
Now, Brad Davis was on him like glue that time. He never had a play.
Flop. What an assist pass to Aguirre, who puts it down, and the Spurs just have to wait helplessly for the end of the quarter. The shot is up there with a counter that's gone. It does not, and that's the quarter. And listen to this crowd at Reunion tonight. A 19-point lead by the Mavericks. Their biggest of the game at 43-24. We played the first 12 minutes as Rogers Cable on Channel 12 brings you Spurs basketball from Dallas. Second quarter of the moment. Shots for 79% in the quarter. They are led tonight by Mark Aguirre with 14. Blackman and Donaldson both have 8. Brickowski has responded with a good first quarter with a dozen, and Dawkins with 6. To lead the San Antonio Spurs, but down by 19 points. Rebound battle so far in this ball game. It was just taking a look with the shooting of 79. There aren't a lot of rebounds by the Dallas Mavericks out there. And the Spurs shot 11 2 for 50. And the Mavericks have out-rebounded the Spurs 8-6 so far in this first quarter.
Well, the only story to this one so far is the Mavs have just not yet cooled off. I mean, when you shoot 79% from the floor in the first half, there isn't much way you can play defense like that. Just get a hand in the face and hope that it doesn't go. And if the Spurs can just stay with the game plan, try to push it up when they have the opportunity, and not stand around on defense, hope the Mavs cool off a little bit, they can get right back in this one.
Sunville and Wilson will start at the guards. Goodmanson trying to work his magic down inside is going to have the ball knocked away and out of bounds.
Well, turnovers is not the way to do it. There's no question about that.
That's number 8 tonight for the San Antonio Spurs compared to 3 by the Dallas Mavericks. Brad Davis picked up by Sunville on the outside. Ricky Wilson chasing down Rolando Blackman. Just underway in the second quarter as Detlef Schrempf is in the ball game, worked on by Mitchell. And Detlef Schrempf wastes no time getting his first field goal of the night.
Schrempf had 22, his season high against San Antonio back on January the 26th, last time these two teams played.
Schrempf's got that cool hairdo of his now. He's got most all the hair kind of cut down with the longer hair in the back.
Flat top type of
exactly. Ricky Wilson trying to challenge inside. Tarpley got the rebound. Davis to block. Oh my. Happy birthday is a block. He gets a couple of back-to-back running slam dunks.
Now, we've wished him happy birthday. I think that's enough.
That's right. 47-24, Spurs trying to get something going here in this second quarter. Anderson trying to work the ball down inside on Tarpley. Here comes Brickowski and Robertson back in for the Spurs in the next dead ball. Goodmanson with a set shot outside, and for a 7-2 player, we mentioned the shooting touch of Tarpley. When Goodmanson gets it going outside, he's not that much of a slouch.
Not at all. In fact, I don't think that's what the Spurs really want him to do, but then again, right now, they need all the points they can get.
Well, you take it anywhere you get it.
It was open. Let's take it.
Pass inside, and a personal foul is going to be called, and it'll be on Ricky Wilson. Rick, by the way, also will come out as Robertson checks back in with him as Wilson goes out with his first foul. And the ball will come out of bounds to the Dallas Mavericks as Goodmanson comes out and Brickowski replaces him. Place 24 for the Mavericks now. We're a minute and a half deep into the second quarter tonight. Good screen by Block. Davis on the move. Just kept moving. Nobody picked him up.
Oh, man. Had him screened up perfectly, and Schrempf picks up the inbound pass.
He'll miss it, but Davis is out there to tap it in.
And a great example of what Brad Davis has meant to the Dallas Mavericks since he's been with the team. He hustles all over the floor. He gets the little things done that you just don't normally notice in a basketball game. That time he was able to come in from behind, and no one was there to block him out. Tipped in the basket, and, well, it's 51-26.
San Antonio has to take their third full timeout with a 20 in this first half as Bob Weiss huddles with the Spurs. They trail the Dallas Mavericks now with a score of 51-26. 10 minutes to go in the first half. Why not take advantage of this timeout to call 222-0500 and sign up. You'll receive 33 channels of cable for less than 50 cents a day of subscription to our weekly, monthly Cable Guide magazine and installation for only $1.99. That's a savings of over $30 of our regular installation cost. Remember, this great offer is only in effect during the game tonight from Dallas. So call that Rogers Cable System number at 222-0500 right now to take advantage of exciting cable action. All right, back to play now is Mitchell. Is Brickowski and Anderson front line against Sunville. Robertson stay in it. Brickowski again has already lit it up for a total of 12 points as Sunville really hawked by Davis. Mitchell with a patented fall away on the baseline, not tonight early. And Tarpley comes out with another rebound. Alley-oop to Detlef Schrempf.
And he almost had it. He was a little tall and he almost got it.
San Antonio again trailing 51-26 in the game. Sunville throws one up on Brad Davis. He really kind of knew where Davis was going to be that time as Davis was trying to hedge over the screen. And Sunville, showing some good experience, just kind of leaned in and drew the foul.
Well, obviously for Dallas it would have worked better if they'd switched off on the screen, but you're right. Sunville made the heady play and threw up the shot, knowing that Davis and he were probably bound for a collision there, and that's what he got. But he can't hit the free throw.
Ouch. San Antonio 2 of 3 as they had only 2 free throws, both by Brickowski in the first quarter. Sunville drills the second one, though. He's an 89% foul shooter prior to that miss. 51-27 on the second free throw by Sunville. 9:26 to go in the first half here on KSAT 12. Stick around. NBA basketball has a strange way of kind of turning around from time to time. It's going all Dallas right now, though. Blackman, speaking of all Dallas, he gets his 10th point of the night. Well, so much for season lows, huh? San Antonio having trouble getting the ball down outside there. Still right now shooting right at about 45%. Down inside Tarpley, and Spurs defense really Not getting back it off, and Dallas is really getting too many of those kind of shots tonight.
The Mavs have all of the movement. On offense, obviously you saw the example right there, moving the ball down the floor like the Spurs should be doing. Then, of course, on defense, they're sticking to it and making the Spurs have to work extra hard for everything they get. This time, the foul is on the floor, though, before Brickowski drives the lane.
That's one of those that one referee will call it a continuation, the other will not. That time, Jim Capers made the call on block. They did call the foul. Brickowski, who takes it in the middle, now will have a chance to shoot a couple of foul shots as they draw the foul on Uwe again.
Same thing about that play is Brickowski took a little stutter step before he made his move in the lane. He could have gotten called for traveling on that play.
Clock stops with 8:42 to play here in the first half of the ball game. Injury problems plaguing a lot of teams around the NBA. Some have played through it. San Antonio did very well playing through some injuries early on in the season. But then it really caught up with them in January and February. Really lost their intensity at that time as the injuries really kind of plagued them. And we'll talk about that at halftime as the second foul shot by Brickowski is rebounded off by who else but Tarpley, who's been a tower of strength for this ball club as of late. 55-28 Dallas. Schrempf trying to get one over Mitchell. Mitchell may have got a piece of that. Look at Flop working tonight. Blocked out of bounds. Well, no, saved by Brickowski. That ball was on its way out before Brickowski saved it. Mitchell on the run. When he gets going, there's not many people that can pull up on that dime and put it much down better than he does. Again, it's still a big lead by the Mavericks, but at least the Spurs are trying to nibble away here with 8 minutes to go in the half. Dallas working their half-court game. Brickowski against Tarpley. Tarpley again down inside, and Schrempf with a nice move. 4 points by him.
Well, he snuck just inside of Greg Anderson. Actually, Anderson didn't play that bad a defense, but I think he was caught with just a slight mental lapse, and Schrempf got around him.
Mitchell on the run against Schrempf gets his 4th point of the night, and San Antonio trails 57-32. San Antonio, the only key of this ball game has just got to literally play some defense and stop Dallas.
Well, they've just got to go out and force things to happen. They can't just sit back and wait for Dallas to shoot the ball because Dallas is hitting, as Rolando Blackman did right there. You just can't wait for things to happen. You've got to make it happen.
And the problem also, they are getting second efforts at it, as no real good defensive rebounding by the Spurs. Not a bad offensive rebound by Brickowski. Scores and he's fouled.
Well, that's the first time that's happened tonight. Mavs have always had 2 or 3 white shirts around the Spurs basket. That time Brickowski fought for the ball and got it. We're going to take one more look at it again. Watch Brickowski kind of slide inside off the miss there. Gets around Blob and goes up around Blob and Tarpley even for the basket. I believe it was Blob that got the foul, wasn't it, sir?
Yes, it was, and that's 3. San Antonio sprang Brickowski up the line for San Antonio. Already lighting it up for 15, make it 16 points tonight is San Antonio. Again, this is the kind of situation, it's a big ball game at 59-35. I realize that's a wide score, but just a 3-point play here, holding Dallas a couple of plays on the other end, and you can turn it right back around at least to a decent ball game.
And that's what Detroit did on the Spurs last night.
Exactly. Anderson, he's going to draw another foul for Uwe block.
That's it. That's the way. Greg Anderson knew he was going to have the positioning that time, so he just waited for Blob to come down. Blob's under there with 4 fouls, and James Donaldson has to come back in the ballgame. But still a great effort from Blob off of the bench. I mean, the guy knows it's his birthday. He wants to show off in front of those fans. He got a couple of dunks. I mean, what more could he ask for, right?
Well, the check at the end of the month. I guess that'd be the only
He's going to get that anyway.
Greg Anderson to shoot 2 here for the San Antonio Spurs. Not his forte by any means. Only a 60% shooter.
Anderson, 23 points and 13 rebounds. And a good, strong, solid effort both ends of the floor last night against the Pistons.
And when you consider who he has to get that again, Rodman is an excellent player. Sally, a lame beer. Then they bring in such people as Dantley, James Edwards. That was a very talented group for Detroit last night. Good effort by the rookie.
Well, it's still a good-looking Detroit team. I like them, perhaps, if not to challenge Boston, maybe even to beat Boston in that Eastern Conference.
How about that? 2 foul shots made in a row by Greg Anderson. He concentrated and got the extension of the right arm and put them both in. 59-37. Spurs not totally out of the woods here, but at least they see a light at the other end. And there's another missed shot. Mitchell almost had it knocked away. Dawkins again back in there, run the attack along with Robertson at the guards. Brickowski, who has had the good night already for the Spurs with 16. Robertson may have had his arm nicked that time as the ball comes way out wide. They go back inside of Brickowski there. Jump hook is up, and Brickowski, what a night he's having now. 6 in the quarter, 18 for the game. And San Antonio has at least whittled it to 20.
It's time to take advantage of these opportunities. When the Mavs miss, the Spurs need to take the time, try to get the ball in the hole. That time Brickowski has been the bell cow so far. He's got it inside, and now they've got another chance off the rebound.
That miss and a score here by the Spurs, and you'll have a Dallas timeout in a second as Dawkins puts it up and good. And coming off the bench, John McLeod says, get that ball in the forecourt, and I got to have a timeout. So the San Antonio Spurs again whittling the lead down to 59-41, and now with 5:50 to play, Dallas does take their first timeout of the first half of the ball game. What a nice comeback for the San Antonio Spurs. They were down 59-32. They've scored 9 unanswered points and have it to 59-41 here in Dallas. 5:50 to go first half. Don't go away. This is Spurs basketball on KSAT Channel 12. Joining me here at courtside, Sam Smith and John looking around the league. Washington in the chase with both New York and Philadelphia. They've got a lead over New Jersey right now. 58-49, that's at the half at the Camp Center. And Atlanta, what's happened to the Hawks now? They trail Cleveland 55-52 at Atlanta. Again, all of the other ball games are still to get underway, are just now getting underway. 2 college scores of this afternoon, and how about Duke and Oklahoma? That's 2 of my 4 picks making it to the Final Four. Duke over Temple, 63-53, and Oklahoma had to struggle against the Wildcats of Villanova, and again, they came out with the victory.
I've got to say that Temple was one of my picks to get in, but I'm not surprised that Duke won. On the other hand, Villanova was kind of a sentimental favorite. I mean, you kind of knew that Oklahoma was going to be there more than likely in the Final Four, but kind of had to pull for the Wildcats today just because they had that same quality they had back in '85,
exactly.
You know, the upset type thing.
Dallas again with that first time out of the first half. Spurs have used 3 in the 20, just trying to keep themselves surfaced here, and they trail 59-41 right now. After again the Dallas Mavericks had a huge lead here in the first half.
Shot clock's only down to 4.
Aguirre may not be aware of that. He does not. They get it cross court. They don't get it off.
At that time,
the San Antonio Spurs played a good D, and once again 4 turnovers now by the Dallas Mavericks, and the San Antonio Spurs, who have whittled the lead down to 18, almost mishandled. Anderson made a good save back to Dawkins. Ouch.
Here's another chance now that the Spurs need to try to take their time, set the ball up, work the offense the way they can, try to set the screen, get the open shot. And that's what Dawkins tried to do there, but he didn't quite get the screen he wanted.
Well, he will get 2 foul shots as Harper draws his first personal foul. As the Dallas Mavericks in this quarter are over the limit, San Antonio has but 1 team foul in this quarter. And Johnny Dawkins, a man from Duke, who is grinning from ear to ear about Duke making it into the Final Four.
Happy man, isn't he?
I tell you what, if Duke wins, we may not be able to live with this guy for a while. Shot by Dawkins is good. J.D. Johnny Dawkins. Again, he struggled last night against the Detroit Pistons and Isaiah Thomas, but he has come out strong tonight, and that's his 10th point of the game. San Antonio, how about this, John? 11 straight points now, and they've kept the lead to 59-43.
This is what it takes. Now you notice the Spurs are coming out more and trying to force the action on defense, see them play a little bit closer to the guys in the white jerseys. That's what they're doing, and right there it pays off. They get the steal from Brickowski.
Dawkins in the open court. Robertson taking too many steps. He had a notion to pass the ball and then takes too many steps, and it's out of bounds to Dallas.
Should have passed it that time. Alvin was just caught in a little bit of split-second indecisiveness, and that cost him.
San Antonio again has the lead down to 59-43, closest they have been. With 4:54 left to play. Here in the second quarter, Harper almost mishandled the ball himself.
Shot clock down to 5 again.
Dallas's ball movement not as good as it was in the first quarter, but that hurts. As Aguirre got the missed shot and puts it in for his 16th, and that finally holds off that 11-0 run by San Antonio. 61-43 Dallas. There's another turnover. Unfortunately, number 11 on the Spurs, as they kind of like you shoot yourself in the foot type syndrome right now.
No, that time they just forced it inside, and that enabled the Mavericks to come right back down to the floor. Schrempf was open on the baseline, got the easy little 8-footer, and now the Spurs need to really concentrate and put the ball back in the hole because they can't let the Mavericks get off on another run.
Dawkins missed fine. That ball went over the corner of the elbow of the basket and probably should have been over. And yes, now Strom is making the correct call at midcourt. I'd love to say it's a Spurs ball, which it would have been if it hadn't went over the corner of the ball backboard. Anytime it breaks the plane, it's out of bounds, and Strom made the right call. So it's out of bounds to Dallas with 4:04 left to play here in the second quarter. A 20-point Mavericks lead. They led by 28, was their biggest lead of the game. There's Harper shooting. And now a shove is going to be called. Brickowski, I think, got caught as he shoves away on Donaldson. Brickowski's one of those guys. John, you remember the little kid who got his hand caught in the cookie jar and looked up at you like with those big brown eyes, and you've got 2 sons. You know what I'm talking about. It wasn't me, Daddy. No way. Davis from almost downtown Fort Worth. That's no good. A rebound comes off to Henderson.
But when you're leading by 20 points, you have a chance to play around with a few things.
Mitchell, normally a great glass shooter, and he does there as he gets his 6th point of the ball game. San Antonio again, only 45 points so far.
Look at that
defense as Davis rolls one in and nobody picked him up down the lane.
That's the third time he split the seam of the Spurs defense. No one has picked him up, not even to try to take a charge.
San Antonio did a super job of cutting off Isaiah early in the game. But here tonight, it's not doing the case as Donaldson with a block. Look at Anderson working for a basket. He gets his first two for the night.
We saw some of that last night against Detroit, and now Greg's going to have to assert himself a little bit more offensively, as was the case there.
Aguirre gets a second charge, and guess who took it again? Greg Anderson. He took it further out on the floor that time. He did a good job.
But you're right. What you mentioned earlier, you can take it too far down low and get yourself into trouble. Greg Anderson needs to be a little bit more aware of that. But again, that time, at least that one paid off for him.
Too far, and they're going to have a no call on you. We have 3 minutes left to play before halftime. Mitchell getting that screen by Robertson. Really had to work hard as Aguirre came over the top and almost got a piece of it. Mitchell puts it down for his 8th point of the game. 65-49 as the Mavericks lead once up to 28 points is being whittled here in the second quarter by the Spurs. Harper, he says, well, I'll just put this down and not wait for the offense. Again, there's not as much movement on the Dallas offense as we saw earlier, though.
No, they're doing exactly what San Antonio did earlier. Sam was trying to force things, and when you have a 20, 25-point lead as the Mavericks have had, you can be a little bit more complacent. Actually, it's hard not to be a little bit complacent and try to stand around a little on offense. Dallas is going to have to try to make a little bit more movement out of it.
Davis with a shove. Robertson will go to the line to shoot 2 for San Antonio. Alvin Robertson, as John pointed out, with a triple-double last night, 15 points, 12 assists, and 10 rebounds. That, by the way, was his first of the season, and it would have been his second quadruple-double had he gotten 2 steals. He had 8 last night. And, John, you brought up an interesting point. He is right now in a real foot race with Michael Jordan for the Steals championship again.
Exactly. Last night, Alvin with the 8 steals has actually 2 less steals than Michael Jordan has, but because he has played 1 less game than Michael has played, he actually has the steals lead in the NBA, 3.15 to 3.12 over Michael Jordan.
Got all those numbers over there.
Oh, yeah. We're full of numbers tonight.
67-51. San Antonio down by 16 is Robertson. Puts in a couple of free throws here. 2:13 to go in the half. There's Harper again. And Dawkins chases the rebound. Schrempf went over the top to try to knock it away. Dawkins saves it, though.
Notice how the white shirts get back on defense, though. They had 4 in position, but if you can hit shots like that, as the Mavericks were doing earlier, you take away a little bit of that hustle down the floor.
Notice how the man from Auburn just calmly got 10 points in this quarter as well. That's Mike Mitchell. 67-53. Tarpley whirling into the lane. That may have been partially blocked, and Anderson comes off for the rebound. Look out, give it up. Thought he was going to take that on the dribble himself. Dawkins. Oh, what a play by Johnny Dawkins. Does that look like his old Duke days? He laid that one in.
He was actually stuck between a rock and a hard place. He wanted to pass it off. He didn't have anybody to go to, so he throws it up off the glass, and he gets it to go. That's some of the luck the Spurs need. They pulled right back into this, Sam.
Bob Weiss and the Spurs down by only 12, down by 28 at one point. They made a whale of a comeback here. But I tell you, that NBA basketball, it has a way of turning in a hurry. Donaldson down low. Brickowski trying to keep him from backing down and draw another foul.
They're just sitting there and muscling away. Frank Brickowski and James Donaldson just, I don't think I'd like to be caught in between there. That's a couple of heavy machines going at each other, just bouncing off.
That's only the 3rd team foul of the quarter, but unfortunately the first in the last 2 minutes. So the Spurs will not be afforded the full 5 team fouls in the quarter. Tarpley's going to be caught for traveling had he not lost it out of bounds. He does. And the Dallas Mavericks with another turnover to 7th, and the Spurs now have a chance to cut it to 10.
Tarpley was just caught asleep in the lane. He was so wide open, he didn't expect the pass to come to him, and that time a little mental lapse hurt him.
And we notice that the Reunion Arena crowd is a little quiet now as Dawkins puts down the jumper, and the Spurs are within 10.
But if you're rooting for the silver and black, you like to hear the quiet.
That's exactly right. I'd like to have it sound like a closet in here, as a matter of fact. Tarpley. And Harper working their magic right side. Harper trying to force up a few now. Tarpley battling Mitchell. Finally comes off to Schrempf, knocks it away. Schrempf on the baseline. Robertson goes after it and gets a jump ball. And Schrempf really enraged and slams the ball off the floor.
Great defense by Alvin Robertson. Hustling, coming and doubling down. He and Mike Mitchell on the defensive end. And Alvin got just another piece of the ball to force the jump ball here. And it's a good chance for Alvin here. He's 6'4", going up against, 6'9", and Schrempf.
Now Brickowski along with Donaldson now arguing for the same spot underneath the basket. Mitchell intervenes as well. By the way, KSAT Channel 12 will bring you up to date with our news update immediately following halftime tonight of our telecast from Dallas, as we've got a good one cooking now with a 10-point Dallas lead, but the Spurs making a marvelous comeback. 28 seconds to go as the jump ball. Now Robertson trying to detain Blackman, and now I think he's going to get a technical foul as well. Ooh, Jimmy Capers was close. Robertson does go on his second foul.
Well, I was trying to explain to him that he was not holding Blackman. The Blackman was trying to roll off the screen that was being set for him, and they just got tangled up. But Capers wasn't buying any of that reasoning, was he, Alvin?
By the way, John, tonight in our fourth quarter, we, along here on Channel 12 and, of course, on our radio affiliate, KTSA, are sponsoring the Subaru and our three-point goal shot that's worth $2,400 tonight.
Can I call in and enter?
No, you're not out. Sorry about that. Blackman misfires at the foul line. That's about the only thing he's missed tonight. He misfires. Sunbull back in, and Anderson's going to go out as the Spurs will hold for as much of the 24-second clock as they can. And, of course, they'll put Sunbull in one corner, Robertson in the other. And, of course, if Dawkins can't get something going, you look either side for the three-point goal.
Right.
Blackman with his second foul shot. He, by the way, has a total of 13 points in this game tonight. And the Dallas Mavericks have a 68-57 lead. They led by 28 points at one time in this half. Things look rather dismal at that stage. Shot clock is down to 10 as Dawkins has Harper stride for stride with him. He's now making his move with 7 on the shot clock. Dawkins at the top of the key. A nice give and go to Brickowski. What a nice play.
Great play. Fake the shot going up. Brickowski slid right down the lane.
Back the other way with 2 seconds at midcourt. It'll count if it goes. That's all the way over the top of the backboard. As the Dallas Mavericks try to get a shot off. What a comeback by San Antonio. They were down 55-27 in this game.
Every season is that there is another one to look forward to. This season started out with much to look forward to, both in present and future terms. But as rosy as it looked in October, perhaps the Spurs were clued into how this season would progress when John Sunvold started the year on the disabled list and Mike Mitchell started the year with knee surgery. Injuries have played a major role in this Spurs season, a role that everyone would like to reverse.
Well, it has affected us, and more so than I thought at first. Sometimes you can overcome them. It depends how deep you are. Sometimes you can't. LA is a good example. I mean, they're the best team in basketball right now, record-wise. They lose Magic, they lose 4 out of 5.
We would have stayed injury-free, kept a lot of players from injury, our record would be a lot better than it was today.
It's obvious if we could say we wouldn't have any injuries, we're going to be a better team. But that's not the reality of things. We have to deal with the injuries. It's a tough job.
Half of the players wearing black and silver have spent time on the bench with injuries. Most notable are the season-ending injuries to David Greenwood with a torn Achilles tendon and Pete Myers with an injured knee. The top teams can usually overcome injuries. The rest can only wonder what will happen next.
Once you get involved into the game, normally you tune out your injuries and then your aches and pains, but all of a sudden they really became apparent, especially when I became hurt and Sonny was having his problems and stuff. We just all started saying, oh my God, what's going on?
It's tough. Like I said, I think that it involves the chemistry most of all. Other than that, I think it just halts maybe a momentum, and sometimes that changes the whole game plan.
The game plan for the rest of this season is an obvious one, to get everybody healthy. But there is still a season to finish, and there are still games to win, no matter how hard it may be.
It's not an easy thing to go out and play hurt. I think some players have a harder time than others. I personally have no problem playing hurt.
Me, I felt the obligation to be out there on the court because, I'm making a lot of money, and I don't like to sit at home while other players are playing. I played with pain before, and it's just another thing that, you learn as an athlete, hey, you're going to have aches and pains, and you just have to suck it up and go out there and play. We owe it to ourselves as well as to the people who pay our salaries and the fans that support us to go out there and play hard and try to play well every day, hurt or not hurt.
So as the walk-in wounded for the San Antonio Spurs are trying to piece himself back together, certainly Frank Brickowski, one of those highlighted on that, has come back with a solid 20-point performance, and it's helped the Spurs cut a 28-point lead by Dallas all the way back down to 9, and we're now heading for the third quarter, are certainly in a foot race here. Good job there, John, taking a look at all of the things that have plagued the Spurs. I thought David Greenwood's comment was very apropos, though, that sometimes along the way, not to advocate that you got to play hurt, but you do have to play with some injuries, and looking at the Magic Johnsons and the Larry Birds, that's exactly what they've done over their career, and it has, of course, produced world championships along the way.
Well, it's also refreshing to get an unsolicited comment like that, even from a guy like David Greenwood, who we know is a nice guy. Everybody knows David Greenwood as a gentleman and as a fine athlete in the NBA. But for him to actually come out and say, hey, you just have to come out and play with pain. I, for one, know that I'm paid a large salary, that we owe it to ourselves, the fans, and the people that pay our checks and everything, write the checks out and everything every month. We know we have to go out there and play. Hey, that's part of the game here. David Greenwood knows that. If we could get a few more guys to realize that, this would be an even better game than it is.
Well, San Antonio, as we take a look at the stat sheet in the first half, shot the ball well enough to have themselves right in the game where they are right now. San Antonio shot 57%. The Mavericks shot 59%, and that's from 74% in the first quarter to 44% in the second period when the Spurs started to catch up. Another key stat, John, I think, is looking down at the bottom where it's rebounds. Dallas has out-rebounded the Spurs by only 2. I thought with them getting a lot of second efforts in there, and I was looking, they did come up with a total of 8 offensive rebounds, but the Spurs got 5. That's a key stat. The Spurs, if they can stay into that and also shoot 85 at the foul line, they got a good chance of winning this thing.
You can see they've got 13 free throws to only 5 for the Mavericks. One of the keys, at least early in the third quarter, Sam, for the Spurs will be to keep the Mavericks from getting out on a run as they open up the ball game. Now, 59-57, that looks relatively close, obviously, as you mentioned, but with the Mavericks starting out shooting 79% from the floor and even better in some points, that's a great figure for the Spurs to see. They're close in rebounds. They're close there. They've got the edge in free throws. Continue sinking those. It'll be a even closer margin than the 68-59ers it is now.
Turnovers in the ball game. The Dallas Mavericks have turned it only 6 times. San Antonio 11. Unfortunately for the Spurs, they have given up a total of 7 points off the turnovers, and they trail by 9. So therein lies one of the problems. The bench points tonight, San Antonio 17-16 leaders. That means with the influx of Mike Mitchell, who scored 10, and a total of 2 points by Gudmundsson, 3 by Sundal, and 2 by Walter Berry. They have outdistanced the likes of Schrempf, along with Uwe Blop and Brad Davis coming off the bench as well.
Okay, one of the things the Spurs need to have happen for them in the second half, again, to be successful, as you're talking about the bench points right now with the 1-point margin there, they need to get more help from Walter Berry, see if he can play off that knee bruise as he was out and missed the game last night against Detroit. Get a little bit of help from him in the scoring column. John Sundal, of course, had 24 points last week against Denver. He comes up with 25 points last night against Detroit. Get a few more points out of him in the second half. Keep Johnny Dawkins in the flow of things. Make sure he's not losing his confidence as it might be just because of the last couple of games that he's come out and played. Keep some of those factors going and stay away from the turnovers in this second half and not let the Mavs get out on a run. They've got a chance of pulling one out on the road.
2 other key factors as well, John, is the fact that Dallas shot a lot of layups in that first quarter of the ball game. That's where, again, the lack of movement by Dallas, as I mentioned, kind of turned it into a jump shooting contest, and Dallas just simply cooled down. San Antonio's got to keep them shooting outside and, again, make some steals and create something on the defensive end. Well, it's a 9-point game, 68-59. The Dallas Mavericks are led by as many as 28. Holding off the Spurs, we're ready for the third quarter as we'll be back to Reunion Arena right after this timeout. Don't go away. This is Spurs basketball. Where they have been nearly 99% sold out for all these many years since they turned this franchise right around, and now with a 45-21 record, trying to get over the 55 wins they had last year, which was a franchise record, and of course they're trying to do it here tonight for possibility of picking up another victory. But San Antonio is refusing to roll over and play dead here tonight, as they were down by 28 and now have cut the lead down to 9 points. Bob Weiss is going to come out with the starting 5 he started the ball game with here tonight. As again, Robertson, Dawkins at the guards. It'll be Anderson along with Brickowski, and I was looking for Nymphius. Is Nymphius coming out? I don't know. It's going to be Mitchell. So they will make one change as Mitchell, with 10 points in that first half, will start in place of Nymphius. Dallas comes out with their usual 5. Obviously, Sam Perkins injured tonight. They do come out with Roy Tarpley, and that's where they started the ball game tonight. Spurs on it here to start the third.
Well, Anderson, of course, is going to be expected to provide a lot of the help in the middle, along with Brickowski, who had the great first quarter. Mitch, of course, with a great second quarter. That's probably the reason he's in there, a little bit of firepower there. And, of course, Alvin Robertson starts off with a bucket right there. Good to see that happen. They've cut that 28-point deficit down to 7 to open up the third quarter. Now, let's sit back, and actually, let's not sit back. Let's get out and play some defense.
Tarpley. Look, double team the Spurs, changing their defense a little bit. Dallas could have an open man here unless the Spurs can alternate, and Blackman is the open man if he hits the jumper. Of course, the defense, you just kind of gamble. You have to leave somebody open somewhere when you double down like they do. And Blackman that time made him pay with his 15th point of the game. 70-61 Dallas. Mike Mitchell again with 10 points. He had all day to kind of adjust his feet. Got his shoelaces all straight and jumped it in.
There you go. Now, as long as he can answer those shots, anything the Mavericks get out in the open like that on the last series, the Spurs were trying to swing around. It almost looked a little bit like a zone where they were swinging from side to side on the floor. Of course, zone is a four-letter word in the NBA, Sam. You can't do it.
Blackman down the lane as Robertson went for a steal, gave Blackman a half a step lead, and he lays it in.
Didn't have the help from Anderson that time.
Got no help at all. 72-63. San Antonio down by 9. We have played a minute 15 of this third quarter tonight. Looked like a total walkaway by Dallas early in the game, up by 28. A 9-point halftime game. Spurs got it down to only 7. And now they try to cut it more as Anderson hits one of the uncharacteristic jump shots out on the floor.
I don't think that's the shot that Bobby Weiss wants to see him take, that jumper from about 12 or 13 feet. Still, they got it to go, so right now it doesn't hurt them.
That's one of those, oh no, yeah, nice shot. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Blackman again, ever moving in this offense. Aguirre does not move out on the floor as much. He does kind of push and shove to get himself free. And Anderson comes off with a missed shot, and this is what the Spurs must do. Now, they have to score on every trip up the floor on those misses.
Well, Alvin just pulled up and sank that one. They had good offside rebounding positioning that time. Alvin comes up, hits a couple of quick shots. The Spurs have pulled within 5 here early in the third.
John McLeod, who, of course, for 14 years was the coach at Phoenix before taking over the Dallas job, now looking up at the clock saying, is that right? 72-67, San Antonio whittling the lead all the way down to 5 points with 9:56 to go in Dallas tonight. Night special only during the ball game now from Rogers Cable TV. You can call 222-0500 before the end of the game and sign up for Rogers Cable System and pay only $1.99 for installation. That's a savings of over $30 on the normal installation fee. So call the number during the ball game only tonight at 222-0500. Give us a call and sign up with Rogers Cable System. All right, the Mavericks have now used up only their second time out of this ball game, but now they find themselves being pushed by the Spurs at 72-67 third quarter. Tarpley behind the Blackman screen, and now Dallas is finding that jump shot not falling, but Donaldson will finish it up with a little finger roll inside. 10 points by Donaldson. He is a mountain of a man.
Great move by Donaldson in the middle. Now, he's not normally known as an offensive threat, but again, as we told you earlier in the broadcast, Donaldson is expected just to fill the middle. That time he was in position to get the ball. He just flat out put it back up and got the good bounce.
Dallas hit their first 10 field goal tries of the night. San Antonio has now reeled off 10 in a row from the floor as well. Mitchell taking it inside. Is it 11 for 11? It is not, as Donaldson rebounds that one out of there. San Antonio trailing in the ball game by 7. Aguirre faked the shot. Takes it in tough traffic. Anderson had it for a moment. It's going to go off his leg as Aguirre knocks it away and out of bounds.
Oh, that is a tough break because Greg Anderson actually bit the bait that time. Aguirre was feeding him on the baseline, but Aguirre did not get the shot to go. Anderson got the rebound and lost it.
Inbounded pass, Harper to Aguirre. Aguirre, a good three-point shooter, so Mitchell had to stay right out on him. They kind of clear out one side of the floor, and here comes Aguirre making the move. Good move indeed as Aguirre puts it in. He's got 18.
He's hurt, Sam. Aguirre's pulling up lame on that left leg and kind of coming back down the floor slowly.
John McLeod hollering at him. He's all right as Robertson tries to answer with one, and here comes off Tarpley.
Don't need to force those shots just yet. It's still in the ball game.
Harper tried to take it all the way to the hoop, but the foul is going to be called out on the floor by Johnny Dawkins, and wisely took the foul. He was in front of Harper, which would not necessitate a breakaway foul. And again, had Harper run by Dawkins and then he reached, it would have been a breakaway that had 2 foul shots and the ball out of bounds.
Well, as you mentioned, if any foul was a good one, that was a good one because he got to him early enough before the move was made to the bucket.
The Dallas Mavericks again kind of throwing the Spurs back a bit, down by 9 again. And there's another rebound by Anderson. He corrals it and holds on to it a little better this time. Ahead to Dawkins. J.D. feeding it right by Robertson. Robertson thought he was going up for the shot, was breaking for the basket. And then Dawkins couldn't get it off and threw it right out of bounds. Tough break.
Well, obviously Johnny decided he didn't have the shot at the last second, and he didn't. He could have gotten that one blocked right back in his face. And as you said, Alvin thought he was going up for it. That's why he cut inside.
Dallas again opened up with 74% shooting in the first quarter. Cooled down, only 44 in the second. And now a 3-second violation on the Dallas Mavericks.
Well, see, now Dallas is turning the ball over. They're not exactly forcing things on the offensive end either. So San Antonio, again, needs to take their time, remain patient out on the floor, and not try to make too many mental errors. They need to just take their time and work the play as it's set up on the sideline.
With San Antonio shooting so well opening up this quarter, they've moved their shooting percentage up to around 59. Dallas still shooting 61, though. Turnaround jumper. Brickowski won't get the roll, and that's Aguirre ahead to Blackman. 7:40 to go in the third. Rowe pulls up. Rebound, nice by Tarpley. Ooh, this man from Michigan can play.
That's really the first time tonight that he's been in position to make that kind of a play. That's why the Mavericks have been so successful in the last week, because Tarpley has made the plays like that. Right now he's got the Mavs back out in front of the Spurs by 11.
And 2 minutes and 30 seconds ago, San Antonio had whittled it down to 5, and now the Mavericks with 6 unanswered points. They have the lead at 78-67 here at Reunion Arena in Dallas tonight. Well, this third quarter, Dallas 5 of 10. The San Antonio Spurs now 4 of 7. Now, again, they had hit their 10 straight field goals that carried over from the second quarter when they made the run on the Dallas Mavericks. But now they've missed their last 3. All right, San Antonio again with the ball is Johnny Dawkins, one guard, Alvin Robertson the other, Mitchell, Anderson, and Brickowski. Brickowski again with 20 points in the first half, has not scored in this half. Ball poked out of his hands, and there's another steal and a turnover on the Spurs.
Not careless with it that time, and it'll cost you.
Harper with an open court layup. Robertson tried to block it away. Goal 10 would have been called anyway, and all of a sudden the lead that was suddenly down to 5 is up to 13.
You know, we said right at the top of the broadcast, Sam, the Spurs have only won 1 out of 13 games in the last 4 years here in Reunion Arena. Tonight they're on the verge of trying to snap that kind of a streak, but they're just going to have to keep on making the silly plays and the dumb plays.
Well, Brickowski trying to add to it with his 22nd point of the night. Breaks out of a little streak there by the Mavericks as they'd scored 8 unanswered points, unanswered by the Spurs until that basket. On third quarter, KSAT Channel 12 tonight here in Dallas as a traveler's ball on Tarpley as he and Anderson got tangled up.
And speaking of silly and dumb, that time the Mavericks got one that they shouldn't have had, and now the Spurs are going to turn it right back over to the Mavericks.
So as the change of the turnovers kind of change it over, and here comes Dallas back in a hurry with the ball. 6 minutes and 32 seconds left to play. Those kind of things will make you think twice. Anderson with another steal. Kind of a bad pass by Dawkins. It was saved by Robertson right to Mitchell. Mitchell going in on Tarpley. He gets a block, and here come the Mavericks back.
Not a wise decision. I think it'll pay off here. You bet.
Tarpley with his 12th point of the ball game. 82-69. The Mavericks up by as many as 28 early in the game. And this is exactly the way they got that big lead, was getting some easy layups. And now they're in the process of at least trying to do it again.
And Bob Weiss came off the bench telling everybody to settle down now and stay with the game plan. And here's Johnny Dawkins responding with a jumper from outside.
82-71. Dallas with the lead by 11, 5:50 in the third quarter. Spurs back home Tuesday night against Portland. Backdoor cut up wire with an easy one.
Well, that time the Spurs were standing back on defense. Now, we can tell the people at home, you can tell the difference because earlier, at least in the second quarter, the Spurs were coming out and forcing things. But if you see the black shirts tend to stay around the middle of the blue area on the floor, in the paint in the lane, that's when you know they're standing around on defense. That time they got caught standing around.
Backdoor cut by Alvin Robertson, and there's the all-star guard Robertson with a slam dunk. He's in double figures with 10. Alvin has been struggling as of late. In his last 6, averaging 15 points, but keeping his rebound and average numbers up. And as we pointed out, still chasing Michael Jordan for that steals championship as the tap comes out, and here comes Dawkins. Robertson, guarded by Blackman. Boy, muscles his way in. He's going to be fouled as Tarpley came over. Let's see if they caught Blackman or Tarpley. They caught Tarpley for his second foul.
That time he got just a piece of him. I think Tarpley had a couple of words to say about that one. Thought he might have gotten the ball, but Alvin, of course, tends to make things happen down low. He's such a versatile player all over the floor, as San Antonio fans well know. But Alvin is effective on most occasions from the inside as well as he is from the outside.
By the way, Alvin Robertson, along with Greg Anderson, are the only Spurs getting back to that injury situation who have played in all 67 games now this year for the Spurs. Anderson, speaking of which, will be coming out, and Nymphius will come in for him as Robertson with the free throw. And he got them both. So Alvin Robertson now with a dozen points. San Antonio has the lead down to 9 once again. So just as it goes to 13, it's back down to 9. It'll be one of those games tonight, huh?
Maybe, but in San Antonio's case, we'd like to see something like that.
Blackman really covered by Robertson. Shot clock at 8. Blackman then got Robertson in the air. He overcommitted, jumped into him, and drew the foul as Robertson gets his third foul of the night. Only the second team foul of the quarter call on San Antonio, and Blackman will be at the line to shoot 2.
Well, this is a case of just being a little bit over-anxious. You can see Rolando Blackman just had a slight little head fake. Alvin was ready to move on any first move that Rowe had. He went up in the air and caught him on the foul.
Rolando Blackman, he along with Ed Neely, boy, you don't think they had some crowing to do today with Kansas State. making a big upset over Purdue.
Two Big 8 teams making that Final Four.
They will indeed at Kansas State and Kansas. And, of course, with Oklahoma already in the Final Four now, there's a guarantee of 2, and what a big boost for the Big 8 basketball. Blackman making one of the 2 foul shots. The rebound muscled out of there by Brickowski finally, and it's a 10-point game. Dallas has the lead. Again, Kurt Nymphius, one of the 4 teams he's played with in the NBA. He's playing against here tonight. As inside Blackman makes a good save, but keeps it right behind Tarpley and out of his total sight. He never knew it was coming.
Well, Tarpley was clearing out down the floor, ready to go for the offense, and the outlet was the only one he had to play over there was to Tarpley. He flat out just did not see the ball coming, as you said.
John McLeod asking to be excused. No, he's just calling a play. I'm sorry. 4:19 left to play here in the third. Robertson again got the opening. It's short. Chases down his own missed rebound. Got it inside. Nymphius will not get it, but Robertson still scrambling for it. Finally comes off the floor. Tarpley. Good hustle. Blackman with an answering basket on the other end. And a 12-point lead again. San Antonio wasted no time getting that ball back in the forecourt, but Dallas had broken back easily. Robertson coming over the top, and Aguirre making a block and knocks it out of bounds.
Great hustle by Mark Aguirre. And, you know, the one thing that Mark Aguirre has done, as we alluded to, he's had the run-ins and such with Dick Motta and everything, but he's trying to really change his image this year. Not so much that they have a new coach and he wants to get off to a fresh start. He's trying to take an attitude as being a real hustler out there on the floor, a guy that's willing to dive after the loose balls and such. He hasn't had that reputation in the past.
Well, both ball clubs have now been warned for a zone as Dallas gets their first call for a zone now. And the ball is out of bounds at 3:48 to play here in the third quarter. Fresh 24 for the Spurs. 12-point Dallas lead. Down inside Robertson tried to get it to Brickowski. He was detained by Tarpley, and Harper came up with an easy steal. Unofficially tonight, 16 turnovers on the Spurs now. Aguirre's miss comes off to Mitchell. Turns it out to Dawkins. It's going to go off his leg, and now Jimmy Capers looked like he was going to motion to the Spurs, but it was accurately off of Dawkins' leg. Dawkins now saying that Harper got a pretty good piece of his arm, but it's going to fall on some deaf ears, and it's out of bounds to Dallas.
Well, it was off of Johnny Dawkins, no question about that. Again, that's one of those occasions where you're just not quite conscious of where things are out on the floor. That was one that could have been avoided.
Aguirre with 20 points will take a rest now for Dallas as Detlef Schrempf comes back into the ballgame for the Mavericks, number 32. He's guarded by Mitchell out at the high post. Blackman. Donaldson there with a rebound, the big guy who came over from the Clippers. And was what Dallas felt was going to be their answer to their center positions. It has not totally answered all of the questions. There's a offensive foul down and set by Detlef Schrempf. But he has been the closest thing they've had since the franchise was here.
Just as I was about to say, Sam, you're right. It has been effective, at least at this point in time. What the Mavericks would, of course, like to have is a center that can score. But right now, what they're having is someone that can effectively fill the middle, let the other guys do the scoring, and that's where Dallas really relies on the perimeter players. But Donaldson was able to come in there and provide a little bit on his own.
San Antonio still down by a dozen. Dawkins out of that left-hand corner. He's got a three-pointer. And unfortunately for a gentleman in a Subaru three-point sweepstakes, he got it 1 quarter too early for $2,400 in the fourth quarter.
About 2 minutes and 40 seconds too early.
But let's not turn it away. 87-78. San Antonio within 9 again. Blackman will just take it right back up to 11 with a bouncer off the baseline. It discussed Alvin Robertson for a moment.
They had a great screen set by Roy Tarpley. It looked like it was a little bit of a moving one, but nonetheless, they got the play to go.
Walter Berry checked in during the last time out. He goes to Dawkins, back to Walter. Little shot put, won't go. Gets another try at it. That one still won't go. And here's Nymphius battling for a rebound. But Nymphius can't get it to go. And Robertson, the jumping jack out of Arkansas, gets his 10th point of the quarter. 14th of the game.
4 shots at the bucket that time. That's hitting the offensive boards. Way to go.
9-point lead, Dallas. Under 2 minutes to go in the third. Harper with a running hook. Look at Donaldson inside, though. Now Robertson trying to hold up. Donaldson comes running out of there. Robertson said, hey, I'm just trying to hang on to the guy.
And that's what Alvin's trying to tell James. James just wanted him get off of me. I don't need any of this. You're like a little gnat trying to get off of it. Of course, anybody would be a gnat compared to 7 feet and 65 pounds. We'll take a look at it inside. Alvin had the positioning inside, or actually didn't have it, as Donaldson kind of muscles his way in there. You can see the force and effect of 7'2" and 265 pounds on a guy. And Alvin was just the man standing in the wrong spot at the wrong time.
He was indeed, because he got his 4th foul in doing so. shot by Donaldson gives him 11 points tonight for the ball game. It's a 90-80 ball game. San Antonio down by 10, but not out of this thing in Dallas tonight. Now, if you'd asked me back in the first quarter if they were out of it, I might have had a different story for you. Down by 28, but now down by 10.
Donaldson with 11 tonight. He's had to work real hard on being mean in the middle. He hadn't been able to do that up until the last couple of years, and now he snags himself a rebound. I think that assertiveness out on the floor is only going to help Dallas as he progresses in his NBA career.
That's not really in his nature. If he had the nature of Bill Laimbeer, this Dallas ball club would be a much stronger and physical ball club, no doubt about it.
Absolutely.
Donaldson just not a nasty type player. Here's a guy that can score, though.
That was a wicked move on the baseline. Switching hands as he was making the move on the baseline and laying it up off the glass with the left hand.
Donaldson with that has 5 points in the quarter. 13 for the game is Berry. What a nice move inside on Schrempf. Ball is knocked out off the floor. Blackman goes after it. Tarpley with a behind-the-back dribble. Not bad, huh? Davis back in there. Feeds to Rowe. Down the lane. Got it.
Beginning to get this crowd a little bit more into it as we get down to the 1 minute mark left in the third quarter. Mavs creep back up by 14.
Tarpley with a good defensive move to knock it out of bounds. Dawkins is going to rejoin the Spurs lineup, and Alvin Robertson with 4 fouls is going to come out of there. Alvin a good third quarter to keep the Spurs competitive with 10. He got 14 for the game, but unfortunately drew 2 fouls, and he has 4 for the night.
Alvin's also coming out of there with a pretty good gash on his left knee. He's got some blood all the way down his left shin.
John, control yourself. We're not singing Happy Birthday to Uwe Blop again, okay? 52 seconds to go here in the third. Blop is back in there and guards Nymphius. Nymphius rolls for the hook, and he's going to get a charge in on block.
Oh, come on. One more.
No. Nymphius with a personal foul. That's his second of the night. San Antonio with another turnover in the offensive foul. 17 turnovers unofficially, and Blop on the high post to Smith. Detlef driving into the crowd, got the contact down the lane. There's Tarpley again, misses it, and Anderson fouled him.
Tried to go back up for the dunk that time, and I think he definitely wanted it. He gave Greg Anderson an evil stare as the whistle was blown underneath.
14-point lead again. Tarpley working his magic inside.
Well, this is how rebounding works. You can see the positioning. He's all alone. The black shirts are on the outside of the white shirts, and positioning is the name of the game. That's 99 and 9/10% of how to play rebounding. The other 1/10%, of course, is desire to go after the ball, but positioning is it. If you're in the position to get the ball, you should get the ball.
Down on the other end, John McLeod is looking at the stat sheet because when Roy Tarpley is the leading scorer, they're 5-0. He right now with 2 free throws has a total of 14 points in the night, but is not their leading scorer.
Well, let's hope that holds true then.
96-80, San Antonio down by 16 again. Barely on the left side, he's got Detlef Schrempf with him. Tough shot trying to get up. Schrempf got a pretty good piece of it. Tarpley there with another rebound. Well, he can do it all. Tarpley had 8 rebounds. He's already over the double-figure mark here easily in the third quarter. Now Dallas will hold for a final shot with 8, 7, 6. This is the end of the third. Tarpley behind the back bounce pass. Block wasn't ready for it, and Dallas turns it over.
Well, that could have been a case of Tarpley wanting to show off a little bit too much, and Blob just not used to being in this kind of a situation at the last second.
Into the forecourt carry. Oh, he took too many steps getting it up and hit the three-point goal.
Oh, my.
The horn goes off, and that's it as he's called for the travel as the horn goes off. Shot. William Smith is now $2,400 richer in our Subaru three-point sweepstakes as Johnny Dawkins has just canned a three-pointer out of the left-hand corner, and William Smith wins the $2,400 in cash from Subaru. How about that?
William will be calling for a loan right after the game.
So the three-point Subaru shot is down, and it helps the Spurs with a three-pointer by Dawkins. Shot clock running down. Blackman got it up, but the horn had already gone off.
Jimmy Capers was right there, ready to make the call, and said the ball did not leave Blackman's hands before the shot went up and the buzzer went off. Good call by Jim Capers.
Well, Dawkins has already made William Smith rich. He can make the Spurs a little richer with another basket as Nymphius however misfires. $2,400 in Subaru cash tonight in Dallas. Not all is lost. William Smith is going to think about this game for a while. Look at Uwe working inside. Blackman is going to be fouled from behind. Anderson, I think, came over to get him again. He does. Anderson gets his third personal foul.
Rob that time helped out on the defense, or actually helped out, I shouldn't say defense, helped out against the defense by setting the screen down low. Blackman just goes right baseline, blows right past Nymphius, gets past Anderson as well, draws the foul.
9 minutes and 25 seconds left to go in this one tonight. It is a 104-87 ball game. San Antonio Spurs on the strength of a three-point goal by Johnny Dawkins a moment ago. Whittled the lead a little bit, but Rolando Blackman with a free throw puts another one up and good. He's got 25 points tonight for Will. 31's his season high, by the way, coming off of only 6 points against the Portland Trailblazers. So he is well on his way to possibly getting a new season high if he continues on this streak.
He's rounding into good form. He missed 11 games this year with that left knee strain.
A block out of bounds by Tarpley on Anderson, as the field still belongs to the Spurs. Reminder that our Rogers cable system offers tonight all expire at the end of the ball game. 222-0500, the number to call. Sandol, who was hotter than the pistol last night, misses, and Brickowski has the ball literally stolen away. Blocked by Anderson. Oh, Schrempf goes down in a heap. Davis is over to help him up in a hurry, but the foul is called on Anderson. That's his fourth. Doug Atkinson, the trainer for the Dallas Mavericks, looked like a 100-yard dash sprinter as he came to midcourt. Schrempf was up, and it looks like he's all right, but he took a terrible fall.
Well, it was great hustle that time by Schrempf to just take the ball through the hoop on the baseline. Greg Anderson had the unfortunate occurrence of just being on the offside right there and trying to make a defensive play. He knew he was beating baseline, so all he did is hold his arms up, try to get a piece of the ball, and Schrempf's motion going up just locked onto his hands, or his arms rather, and that's what forced him down to the floor.
First shot by Schrempf, no good. By the way, Channel 12 is also helping to present a very special gymnastics meet that is being held currently at the Hemisphere Arena and will continue tomorrow at 1:30. The best of the women's gymnastic in the Alamo City Gymnastic. 1:30 tomorrow at the Hemisphere Arena. And again, Channel 12 helping to bring all of that action to you as a sponsorship in San Antonio. 107-87, San Antonio down by 20. Backdoor cut, Robertson, 16 by Robbie. San Antonio. Dallas is finding out that they're not ready to give up and go home right now. And John McLeod must be cognizant of that as well. He's called a timeout.
He just wants to make sure now that things don't get out of hand. In an 18-point lead, there's still a lot of time left in this NBA game as it is with 8:48 left to go. Spurs have a chance to bring it back.
Well, Aguirre has scored a total of 12 to help the Mavericks to a 107-89 lead. We'll be back to Dallas in just a moment. Atlanta knocks off Cleveland. It hurts the Cavaliers 109-102.
Well, I tell you what, Wes Unseld has really had the bullet playing since he took over for Kevin Lockery. Got to give him all the credit in the world, and it really couldn't happen to a nicer gentleman in the league. He's really a great guy to talk to.
Portland at Houston again leading by 6, as you saw there. And Phoenix now the closest ball club behind the Spurs. They are at home tonight against the Detroit Pistons, are trailing in the first quarter. Lop again with a dozen points. He's been one of the mainstays here against the San Antonio Spurs as Tarpley has the ball finally stripped clean inside. That's the 16th turnover on the Dallas Mavericks now. As back the other way, Robertson really has to work for a basket, and he's going to be knocked out and fouled as that's on block. I've got him for 6 fouls. We'll wait to see if that's going to be correct. It is. And he'll be out of here tonight, but happy birthday for Uwe Block as he fouls out of the ball game tonight with a total of 12 points. And a happy birthday goes out with 8 minutes and 27 seconds to play. His season high was 9 points, so he surpassed that with a dozen here tonight.
In fact, 3 of these Mavericks have had their season-high point totals against the Spurs this season. We mentioned earlier in the broadcast that Detlef Schrempf had his season high of 22 back on January the 26th, and also James Donaldson had his season high of 16 points back earlier in January against the Spurs.
Bob Bass commented early part of the season, he said, how many people are going to get season and career highs against us this year? Because it seemed like there was just a dozen at the start of the season. Blackman with another basket for him, and he may be approaching a season high. He's got a total of 28. He's got 31 as a season high. Dawkins foul as he drives in.
We've got 3 in the white shirts out there with season highs already against the Spurs this season.
Dawkins will be at the line to shoot 2 for the San Antonio Spurs. Dawkins again with that $2,400 Subaru three-pointer in this quarter already. He's also got a total of 22 points for the night, make it 23. Dawkins is currently the number 7 man in the NBA shooting foul shots at 89%. And has hit 3 for 3, make it 4 for 4 as he drops that one in. It also gets his 5th point of this quarter, his 24th of the game, And guess what? The Spurs are back in it again, down 109-93.
The thing about it is now, Sam, is it's getting the crucial point where they can't let the Mavericks run away with it here. They've got to play stick-to-it defense, and it's kind of hard when you get a shot like that on Detlef Schrempf on the baseline. A little jump hook there. But it's not time to panic. Still almost 8 minutes left in the ball game. If they can keep it in that 12 to 14 range and then get ready to make a run in the last 3 or 4 minutes, it could get interesting.
Remember how quickly it turned around back there in that third quarter? It could do it again as Alvin Robertson drives inside. Alvin now with 20 points. That's his 37th time to be plus 20 for the campaign. He's been over 37 times for the year. We could probably use a 30-point night from him tonight. Detlef Schrempf, we've got to find somebody to guard him right now, though.
Well, the Spurs were leaving him alone outside, so he just decided, well, I've got the hot hand. I'll pull up and take the shot, and he nailed it.
Mitchell from three-point range. Got it. Mitchell with a home run shot. Mitchell putting down a three-pointer from the outside for the San Antonio Spurs, and that whittles the lead in a hurry to 113-98 as Mitchell putting down the three from the outside. Just checking to see Mitchell in his three-point shooting as Dallas working here right in front of us. Mitchell was 1 for 7 before that shot, and there's Blackman rolling inside.
Well, that time Alvin Robertson tried to come off the screen that was set for him out front. He just didn't get there in time. It was a good offensive play set up by the Mavs.
Blackman with 30, only one below his season high. Dawkins with that little step-back jumper, barely brought iron. Robertson off for the rebound. He's in a crowd. Still trying to get it in. Will not. Comes off the floor again. Dallas will lose it out of bounds. 6:35 to play in the period.
Alvin is upset with himself for all the effort spent underneath to be able to get Donaldson to go up in the air on the fake like that and come up short with a bank shot. You knew Alvin was thinking that, hey, there's a 7-2 guy in here somewhere.
Blackman is going to go out as Harper comes in to replace him. He'll guard Robertson. Out straight away goes to Brickowski. Donaldson rebounds, and here come the Dallas Mavericks with Davis at the helm. We're under 6.5 left to go in the fourth quarter. It is 115-98 Dallas. Brickowski over the top, knocking Schrempf down to make the steal. Cross court to Mitchell. Mitchell with a hot hand, including a three-pointer. That one about 4 feet shorter. Puts it down. He's got a total of 5 1/4, 17 for the game, and the Spurs have reached 100, but they're down by 15. Tarpley waiting to see if Mitchell was going to commit inside. He did not. Gets his 16th point. He's got a lot of talent, doesn't he?
Well, this turns into a jump shooting contest now as Johnny Dawkins hits that bucket. And again, John McLeod wants to take a timeout. 5:49 left, still time to play. 15 points is not that much of a lead to overcome.
Well, we're in Dallas tonight. 117-102 the Mavericks. This is Sam Smith along with John Rook. We'll be back here on KSAT Channel 12 after this brief timeout. 17-102, the Dallas Mavericks by 15. Again, the Spurs whittled it down from 28 points down to 5. In the third quarter, they went to the period, however, trailing 96-80 after the Mavericks responded with another charge of their own. San Antonio trying to look for some traps. They're right now in a close man-to-man, but Dallas is keeping it pretty well spread. Tarpley with a miss, and there's Brickowski making good save to Dawkins. As John pointed out, there is plenty of time. Right side Mitchell stutter steps and takes too many to travel.
Well, not time to do that, though. And you just have to keep yourself from getting too over-anxious, and that's exactly what Mike Mitchell did there. He saw the opening. All he needed to do was put the ball down on the floor once and pull up with that jumper. And I think he was thinking about the three from that point in time.
22 turnovers by San Antonio, 17 on the Mavericks. Nice angle pass inside to Donaldson. Aguirre gets the assist. And the Dallas Mavericks are slowly now starting to shut the door a little on the Spurs. 119-102 with 5 minutes to go. Robertson had Davis come over to try to steal it. Anderson tried to go up for a slam dunk, caught the rim, and here's Harper in the open court. 11 points by Derek Harper. 121-102. Spurs down by 19.
Well, that's how quickly things can turn around. And it looked like Alvin Robertson had the positioning inside of the bucket down low that time. But again, he's thinking Donaldson is in there. So he put his shot up a little bit high off the glass, trying to take into effect the fact that Donaldson's got the great reach that he does, and just didn't get it to fall that time.
So as the Spurs again after the personal foul down inside, which by the way was the 4th on Dallas in the quarter. Anderson driving for a basket. You know, that's one of the things Anderson did so well last night against Detroit. Really took the ball to the basket on drives. Speaking of driving, here comes Harper back the other way, and a personal foul is called on Brickowski.
And you have to wonder why Dallas really hasn't done exactly what they're doing now all game long. I mean, Derek Harper in the last couple of minutes has pushed the ball up the floor, and he sprinted right past the Spurs defense. They make things happen in the lane that time. You know, they sat back a little in the second quarter, and it almost cost them the ball game. As it stands now, they look to be in fairly comfortable position with 4:26 left to play and an 18-point lead. But, you know, the NBA game is a game of spurts, and this is the time when the good teams turn it on to try to nail the doors shut, and that's exactly what Dallas is trying to do right at this moment.
2 foul shots makes it 123-104. The Spurs take a 20-second timeout. Gives me time to remind you the San Antonio Spurs will be home against the Portland Trailblazers. That'll be coming up on Tuesday night. Now that ball game will get underway once again at 7:30. It'll be on First Choice along with KTSA Radio. Or better yet, why not be in the arena floor and watch them play at 7:30. By the way, preceding that ball game, the Basketball Congress International will host some of the outstanding area high school seniors. They'll be playing a preliminary game starting at 4:45 with the doors opening at around 4:15. Some of the people include Tony Terrell, a young man out of East Central. What a great year. The all-time leading scorer in the history of San Antonio High School basketball will be there. Tommy Green, Reggie Pierce, Will Becker, also Morris Farr, Chris Evans, just to name a few. Again, that is Tuesday night before the Spurs meet the Portland Trailblazers at the arena.
Where San Antonio fans know how well high school basketball has been played in the Alamo City the last couple of years, with what the success they've had, especially in this BCI tournament. Ought to be quite a treat to catch some of that Tuesday.
You saw Tony play a lot. He was a sensation to watch. It's unfortunate he doesn't have about 6 more inches or he'd make a great major college prospect.
Well, he still may. He may spend a year in junior college, but I tell you, a little seasoning, and at the right spot as it is, he could still be a force in college basketball.
Well, of course, at Illinois when he played there, Derek Harper puts it down, and this one is slowly now officially slipping away from the Spurs. 125-104. What a gallant effort they put on, coming from 28 points down to cut it to 5, but as Anderson puts down his 12th point of the ball game, and it's 125-106.
Well, look at Harper spin and move in the middle. That time he got carried away, but they got the right thing going to him. The ball was thrown right back into Roy Tarpley's hands. Boy, when it's going good, it is going good.
Brickowski tries an opposite side up, blocked away, and here comes Tarpley with the ball. Harper and Aguirre one-on-one on Mitchell. Knocked away, and Robertson will chase it down at midcourt. Dawkins with another try for a three-pointer. That one won't go. Anderson and Donaldson battle out of bounds. It'll belong to the Spurs. And Bob Weiss will bring in some of the shot crews now. Peter Goodmanson along with Phil Zevenbergen and also Rick Wilson come into the ball game for San Antonio. We'll check those that'll come out as they pass us on the way to the bench. Brickowski, Anderson are 2 of them. As San Antonio also set down Alvin Robertson. So the inbounded pass, Goodmanson out straight away on the right-hand side. With 3:16 to play, again, Ricky Wilson just picked up on a 10-day contract. He's on his 5th day. And he tries to shovel inside to Goodmanson, and it's out of bounds. 23 turnovers, second straight night on the Spurs. 127-106. So good from Terry Stimbriggs. Say one time along the way, there will be another night.
That's right.
Terry, of course, a resident of Kilgore, Texas, does some residing here in Dallas off and on to the season as Harper's air ball goes out of bounds. 3:53 to play, and now the shot crews come off the bench for John McLeod as Steve Alford out of IU and Jim Farmer of Alabama will join Detlef Schrempf as the 2 rookies. So the Dallas Mavericks will make their first appearance. Look like bookends out there.
Well, they really do, don't they?
Zevenbergen, top of the key to Goodmanson. They got part of that tongue twister in there for me. And Mitchell turns around. Mitchell has got 7 points in the quarter, 19 for the game. But again, it's a 125-108 Dallas lead. Make that 127, excuse me.
The Spurs all-international team in there right now, Sam. There's some good things have really come out of this game for San Antonio. First of all, it's good to see Johnny Dawkins get back out on the floor and shoot as well as he has. As Bill Wennington hits that hook shot, of course, he is one of those guys that doesn't get so much time for Dallas, but the fans really love him. He's a fan favorite here. And also Alvin Robertson played with a little bit more authority. At least Alvin was trying to make things happen out there. And we need to see a little bit more from Walter Berry. Walter was pressing a little bit, I think, last night. Of course, he missed last night's game as I tried to get to there a second ago against Detroit. Walter just needs to relax a little bit more. I think he'll be all right and right back in the groove.
So San Antonio, after a turnover on Zevenbergen, took about 9 steps to make the shot up. And again, with under 2 minutes to play now, Farmer out of Alabama, well recruited as a fine shooter, gets it to Donaldson.
Boy, Donaldson has had a great night inside for Dallas tonight. He really has played well and has been a force. Been one of the reasons they've been able to just keep the middle clogged up for San Antonio.
You ready for another season high? Donaldson with 17. 16 was his season high.
And that 16 was against the Spurs earlier in the year in January.
Oh, what can I tell you? Minute 37 to play. 131-108. Dawkins out of the left-hand corner. Already one three-pointer. A big one in our Subaru three-point sweepstakes. But it hops out of there. William Smith won $2,400 in the first one by J.D. in the quarter. You can register at Red McCombs or Universal Subaru for a future chance to pick it up. Outside with it, Winnington. They bounce it down inside there. Once again, is Detlef strip. Rebound comes off to Goodmanson, but he's going to be fouled from behind by Winnington.
You know, one other good thing to see for San Antonio tonight was Frank Brickowski's play. You know, we mentioned earlier in the broadcast again that he missed 7 straight games as it was with his neck problem, and he came off last night, played well against Detroit, and he's played very well tonight against Dallas. He's really made things happen, particularly early on, tried to keep the Spurs in the ballgame.
By the way, Amy, our floor director, has brought to our attention there are 3 Washington Huskies on the floor right now. Goodmanson, Zevenbergen, and also in there is Detlef Schrempf. And 1 Cougar from Washington State. That, of course, would be Donaldson is in there from Washington State. So they are well represented tonight on this floor.
Absolutely.
Goodmanson with a free throw. He has both of them up and in. Gets his 4th points of the ball game tonight for San Antonio. And again, they'll reach the 110 mark, but they're down by 21. They trailed by 28 early in the game. They had a great comeback to cut it to 5, but it was just not enough to hang in there tonight against Dallas. Zevenbergen trying to keep Winnington away. Donaldson already with a season high. Throws it right over Farmer's head and out of bounds. 49 seconds left to play. We will make a decision here on joining our program in progress back in San Antonio, which we will. I believe Three's Company is getting ready to come to you after the ball game tonight as Zevenbergen gets a basket inside, and he's on the scoreboard for the Spurs. Yeah, it's rather interesting tonight. We have not seen Eddie Nealon.
He was the hero last night, his only bucket of the ball game, but it was the one that counted to beat the Pistons 107-106 in San Antonio.
30 seconds to go. Farmer trying to get a shot on Dawkins, blocked by Goodmanson. Farmer knocks it away, picked up by Mitchell, though. Dawkins, pretty nifty little pass, but Mitchell's going to miss it. Zevenbergen couldn't get the rebound. 5 to go. 131-112, and Schrempf takes it inside as the ball ricocheted off his chest and out of bounds. I'm sure he had a couple of words in German to say to the referee.
I think I understood what he said to Jimmy Capers, and I don't think it bears repeating in English.
Don't interpret it, please.
No.
6 seconds to go. Wilson from 3-point range. Goodmanson couldn't get the rebound. 1 second. This one's over. So the Dallas Mavericks have made it 3 in a row on the San Antonio Spurs, 131-112. Again, they had a giant lead of 28. The Spurs cut it to 5, but now the Spurs will go out of here as a loser in Dallas for the 7th consecutive time and the 15th time against the Dallas Mavericks here at Reunion. The final, the Mavericks 131, the San Antonio Spurs 112. As the Mavericks stay on top once again of the division, we'll be back right after we pause for this timeout. This is Spurs basketball.